Coming to you live from the Illegal Shift One More and I'm Out of Here studios. We are back with you with, I think, is going to be a very epic episode of hearing.
Epic, setting the bar a little high, but we'll just say entertaining.
Hearing the regalia of Andrew Pappas and his trip to the RNC, who everybody lived vicariously, was 7 followers on his new Facebook account followed while he was up in Wisconsin. But I'm Jason Kiefer. That's Andrew Pappas. There he is.
Did you see my cup? Probably didn't see this, did you?
No, I didn't. Oh, your Aggies cup.
My holographic SEC A&M cup, yeah.
Helps if you're talking to Mike, Andrew.
Well, you know, I'm not used to putting things in my face as you are, so just give me a moment.
Well, I know, and everybody else sees that. Your fucking decorum is terrible.
Will it help if I put my hand on the back of your head? Will it make you more comfortable?
Yeah, dude. Watching you all last week, following you on Facebook was fucking awesome.
You know, that's the how did we leave here last week? I thought we left with the theme of Facebook sucks. I'm pretty sure I said that about 100 times.
Yeah, you ranted a bunch.
So let me give you an update. So yeah, Facebook was so like that was, when was our last show? Was it Friday?
It was the 15th, I believe.
Was that a Friday?
No.
Okay. Well,
Wednesday
maybe. And then I left what? I left on Monday, right? Yeah. So, you know, so Wednesday I was complaining that they had locked me out of Facebook because they didn't accept that I was who I said I was. And then so I set up a new account, like that was, I guess, Wednesday or Thursday. And then by Sunday or Monday heading up there, I had almost 1,000 new followers. I was like, yeah, well, how'd that work out for you? And then while I was there, they reactivated my other account, but I'm having so much fun with my new account. I don't really know which account. You know, I really don't want to have 2, but I want to have more than 5,000 minions. So I'm kind of like torn here. I'm having fun because I did not block anybody on my new page. My old page, I think my block list is up to like 700, like we talked about. And these are just, you know, whatever.
Are you still getting all the trolls on your new one?
You saw that one. You saw that, right? You saw that one contact. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I reported that because, you know, I mean, that should be reported to Facebook. They probably won't take it down. But yeah, I mean, I'm not getting that many. So bring it on. I'm kind of bored. I have no life. Let's go. Send me your hate mail. I love it. Makes me happy.
It does make
Jen and all the rest of the crew out there. Shout out to you, gals. Put the donut down and send me a hate mail.
Oh my God.
I know.
I'm in the process of grabbing your screenshot.
That's the greatest thing ever.
I can't wait to see this.
So I will give you. So I drove. I left Monday. The main contingent got up there, I would say Sunday. It actually began Sunday night, but you know, I'm only good for so much. And I mean, that was like 4 days of solid. It's just solid one thing after the other. So the Ohio contingent was sequestered or staying the hotel space in Wisconsin.
In Wisconsin.
They have a lot of cheese in Wisconsin. I'm still recovering from that, but
your post
like
made me giggle.
I know. It was like, they're like, "Would you like some more cheese curds?" I'm like, "No, I'm good on the cheese curds. I get it anymore. No more." So we were out at it's a place called the Abbey on Lake Geneva. And it was really nice, probably in 1980. I'm kidding. It was actually fine. And it was a nice place. It's just that we were not in Milwaukee proper. We were probably from our venue to the convention center, I believe, by the crow flies, was 53 miles. It took us a little over an hour to get there, just about an hour to get to downtown Milwaukee. So there was not a whole lot of, and you're talking about, so convention week, for those people that don't know what goes on at a convention, you know, every single day, the convention hall usually would open at around, I would say, about 5:00. And then before 5:00, you would have any number of events. Each state would have different events at different venues. And it is just simply one thing after the other. So you really don't have, I did not have a lot of free time to go meandering around nothing like going to a Walmart in Wisconsin to buy stuff that you could probably buy here. But it was fine. I mean, it was a lot of fun, and I saw a lot of, I was with all the state reps and all the state officials and national officials, and we had every morning we would start off with a breakfast sponsored by a different official there at the Abbey. And
was that just Ohio?
That was just Ohio. I mean, you're going to ask me how many people. I would say that Ohio probably had between 300 to 400 people there. I think that's how many people we had. I think Texas had 700. So you have delegates.
You went up as an
I went up as an alternate delegate. So you have delegates and you have alternate delegates in case somebody pulls a hammy and goes down on the floor hard. You're ready to step up and cast that vote if it's needed to be. And then you have honorary delegates, and an honorary delegate starts off. Basically they put out the call that your local county or state party will say, send an email out to all its members. If you want to be an honorary delegate, just send us some moolah, and you can become an honorary delegate. And you pay. I don't want anyone to be under the misconception that this is paid for by the party. You pay to go to these things. It's not free. And you get your credentials, and then you're either, in the state, the credentials get you into the venue, which was wherever the what is Milwaukee's basketball team called?
The Bucks.
Yeah, there you go. Big NBA fan here.
No, I'm definitely not. That was an anomaly.
I think it was called the Pfeiffer. It was some arena, and it was very nice. And so your credentials get you in the arena. And then if you are not a delegate, delegates are allowed on the floor. And the floor, I would describe it to the average human being as a mosh pit. I mean, each state has its section, but these are foldable seats, foldable cushion seats, but they're very tightly packed. And then the rows between the states are very, very small and tightly packed. And anytime the president, and he was there every night, so, which is rare. Usually that doesn't happen. Usually the president, only comes on like Thursday night or whatever. I mean, depending on if he's going to announce his VP, which would usually take place on a Wednesday.
How many of these have you been to?
I don't know. It's like my third.
Okay. All right.
So, but they're all very similar. So where was I? Because you completely let me.
Well,
you get in there.
Answers.
I'm trying to provide them. So I just want people to know, because I've had a lot of questions, and people might be interested in perhaps being either a delegate or an alternate delegate or a honorary delegate. And so what happens then is, it starts at 5, and you have speeches from everybody under the sun. And, it's almost like Mikomoto auctions. It's like earlier in the week, you got your okay cars, right?
Right.
And then as the week goes on, you start getting into the really nice cars. And Saturday's or Friday's a big car. And it culminated with, obviously, you heard Trump's speech on Thursday night. And if you're on the floor, I was on the floor I believe I was on the floor on Tuesday night. And after that, I said, and everybody wants to be on the floor.
Right.
But my problem, I don't suffer from claustrophobia. I just suffer from people phobia, and I don't like being that crowded into a tight location. Oh, and so when the president comes in, the reason I was mentioning that, so when the president comes in, they freeze the floor. Like, all the aisles are closed. You can't walk around. You can't stand up really or move. And then while you're there, even though you're seated, people are up in the aisles giving interviews. The news cameras are going back and forth. People are saying hi to each other. It's a very amicable event, very, very social event. It's not very quiet down on the floor because everyone's talking. So Tuesday I was on the floor. I think Wednesday I went on the floor for about an hour, meandered around, tried to see if I knew anybody from other states, which was, a pipe dream. And I was going to see if I knew any of my buddies from Texas, if they might be there as delegates. But Texas did a funny thing. So I don't know if you noticed, you picked up on it on the camera. Texas, they all wore the exact same outfit. And I was like, I can't freaking tell anybody. I mean, they all had big hats on and Texas shirts. I was like, they all look the same. I have no idea.
I'm never going to find this.
No, people. I know. So that's when I saw Juan Williams up in the news booth, and I was giving him some hateful glares while he was pounding a bag of Ruffles like there was nobody's business.
Fucking hand coming through the
yeah,
bottom.
He was just like stuff in his mouth, and food was falling out. It was like typical of what I think of Juan Williams. But anyhow, So, but and then I was in the stand, and Ohio had a section, but it's not like there were ushers. I mean, it was pretty much open seating. So we were not, I think Ohio, we were right next to Florida. So people were kind of milling, and it was cool. Everybody likes each other. But if you got up for any second, your seat was gone. It's not like you're like, hey, save my seat. It's like once you go to the bathroom or you go to grab a bite to eat, and I'll get into that for a second. There was the bathrooms were fine, no big deal. Twice as many female as male. I had trouble finding the male restroom. So
I thought you went to the female.
Yeah, anyway. Well, I mean, I was about to identify as that because I was like, I don't know where I'm going to pee, but I really have to go. But because I wasn't doing number 2 because of the aforementioned cheese. I mean, that was not happening.
You don't do that till you come home.
No, a month later. So did I tell you about the cheese curds? Right. So so it culminated with obviously Trump's speech on Thursday and Trump's the pre-speakers on Thursday. I just thought one was better than the other. Did you see the World War II veteran?
Yes.
Yeah, he really brought tears to my eyes. And
where were you sitting on Thursday?
Well, so yeah, I'm sorry. So thank you for reminding me that I didn't mention that. So if you were looking at the stage from the camera, so like you're looking directly at the speaker, Ohio on the floor on the convention was down to the right-hand quadrant, down the lower right-hand quadrant, I want to say about 2:00. And then it was almost correspondingly in the stands. It was almost directly, as if you're looking at the stage, to the right of the stage in the 100s section. And there was a real empty section that was kind of behind, I would say, catty corner behind the stage, not all the way directly behind the stage because those were closed, but like in the where you really couldn't see anything, and that was a good place to just go stretch out.
Right.
Because you'd go over there and you'd be like, okay, I just need an hour to just decompress or stretch or whatever. But I spent we would leave at different times, but the latest we left to get to the stadium from the Abbey was like 3 or 4 o'clock, and we'd be down there by 5:30, 6 o'clock. And now I was you could take the bus if you wanted to. We had buses that were provided by the RNC. Since I had some people with me that had specific schedules to keep, I just volunteered to drive because 50 miles is not a big deal.
Right. Yeah.
But you did pass through security. So your vehicle was swept if you wanted to park inside the perimeter. And then if you didn't, you still had to walk through a security line to get in if you parked outside the perimeter.
There was a perimeter?
Oh, yeah, there was a perimeter. It was actually, I have to say this, it was very secure. You felt very safe. There was a big perimeter because of obviously this is just after the assassination attempt on President Trump. So I think they even expanded the perimeter. Did not see a whole lot of protesters. There were just not a whole lot of protesters at the RNC. So I'm hopeful that they saved up all their energy and signs and they'll be at the DNC in Chicago because it looks like that's going to be an absolute cluster.
Your pictures, I mean, just it was almost like I was there because, I mean, obviously we talked about
Were you living vicariously through me?
Yeah. Yes. I was jealous. I've never
don't be jealous.
I've never had a desire to go to one of these, but over the last few years, I've gotten a lot more political. And more knowledgeable. Yeah. I just didn't have the knowledge. Oh. But I never knew what one of these was like.
Right.
So you said you've been to 3 in person.
Yeah, I think it's about 3, maybe 2 or 3.
Where would you put this one? I mean, was this different than the ones you've been to before? More electric or anything, or
more unified? It's much more unified.
Okay.
It was. Sometimes maybe I'm remembering miscorrectly because you know how memory it fades as you get older. But
the elder,
remember
I get it.
I know, but it seemed to me much more unified. Everyone there, I mean, everybody there was pro-Trump, and I don't remember that from the other ones. Usually, you have your different factions that were supporting their candidate and trying to, maybe persuade you to vote for their candidate. Maybe it wasn't so decided upon beforehand. It might have been a little closer, or you still had, maybe there was probably a primary challenge that might have been proven difficult or whatever. And there might have been sour grapes. This one was not like that. It was just a really big amicable feeling of love. I mean, I hate to say it like that, love, but no, it really was. It was everybody was on the same page and everybody was pulling in the same direction. And I have to say it was a lot of fun, and from the point of view as if you're a Politico kind of guy. And then walking around, you saw the photographs. I mean, I'm not known to be shy. So I was like, hey.
That's probably the most factual thing I've heard you say.
But I wasn't
on this
rude.
podcast.
I mean, I didn't like tackle the guy. I was like, there's a time and a place. Plenty of people walked by, and I was like, no, I'm never going to catch them. And Bill Hemmer was being very gracious, and he was outside the Fox newsroom, and I didn't want to bother him because it looked like everybody and their mother was mobbing the poor guy, and I was like, he's got a job to do, just leave him alone. But if I saw somebody walking through the stadium or through the concourse and they were alone and they were approachable, I had no problem going up to them. Like I saw Joe Piscopo, which probably the younger people are like, I don't know who that is, but I enjoyed seeing him, and I saw James O'Keefe, and I thought that was kind of funny because I was like, "Hey, O'Keefe," and he just gives me this look, and I'm like, "Dude, want a picture?" And he was walking. I go, "I can walk and do it at the same time." He's like, "Okay, let's do this." And so I was walking. I was like, "Hey, I kind of like the stuff you do, and I appreciate that." But I kind of felt like him because he does that. He goes up to people and he's like, "Can I ask you a question?" And they're like, just out of the shower, and he's standing in their house. So I was like, dude, you make your living doing this. Just be gracious.
Here, you can put the shower cap on while I take the picture. It's fine.
That's right. He was actually pretty cool. I mean, he kind of had he smiled-ish, and then he kept going. He's not like Mr. Warm and Fuzzy, but
well, you got to figure. I mean, all those people, like you said, it's hustle and bustle all week. I mean, you can see that just in the coverage that I was watching.
I saw Gretchen. What's her name? Greta. I'm sorry, not Gretchen. Greta from Fox News, I guess. Greta.
Oh, I can't remember.
Not Greta Thunberg. Greta.
Was she preaching about global warming?
No, what was Greta's last name? Anyway, I saw Greta, and she had a shtick. She would be walking. I saw her several times, but she would be walking like really, really fast. So there's no way a fat old guy's keeping up with her. I was like, there's no way. She's gone. She's gone. And so, yeah, it was a lot of fun. I encourage, I encourage. Well, for example, going forward, if you say, hey, I can't get to, I missed the convention. Well, kind of like today up in Middletown, they had, obviously the vice president was there, and, they're looking always for volunteers to help work these events. And if you can't go to a convention, working an event is like the next best thing, because you kind of sometimes see things behind the scenes that maybe an attendee won't see. You'll get to see the candidates. And I have to say that, it was really nice. J.D. Vance could not have been any more gracious, although he was just nominated. So it broke with tradition. He was nominated, I believe, on Tuesday night, or was it Monday night? It might have been Monday night. Yeah, it was Monday night. And he still came to all the events. Now, it was a lot more secure. But I mean, I figured once he was the Veep, he'd probably be like, hey, I'm sorry, I can't come to the cheese curdling contest. And yet he still did. And I don't know that he won, but I had to give a shout out to the staff of the Ohio, because that's the ones I was dealing with. The Ohio ORP staff just hit it out of the park. I mean, there was a couple of snafus on day one with the buses, but that was actually not their purview. That was the RNC's purview, and some adjustments were made. And then travel was very easy after Monday, that everybody could get down there and get back in a timely fashion.
Well, and you have to figure you're gonna have some of those snafus if you put an event together or been associated with somebody else put an event together, and the logistics have got to be a fucking nightmare.
I could only imagine. I mean, and that's why I should throw the shout out to staff. Why am I cut off? Am I that much wider than you?
Because you don't like to be close.
It's not that. Look at where we're sitting. We're both in the same thing. Is that centered? I think you're cheating the camera over to your side. I mean, I feel like I'm getting ripped here, but that's okay.
No, jealousy is a stinky clone on you.
It's a stinky clone. So I'm back. I usually get, me. I mean, you know me well enough. 9:00, I'm in bed. Really, right. 9:00, I'm in bed. And 9:00, we were still in downtown Milwaukee and had an hour drive. And then when we would get back, they might want to go for pizza or whatever and talk about the events of the day. And so there were some late nights that were, and I don't drink, so it was like, a whole lot of sober tiredness. I mean, maybe the alcohol would have helped a little bit. Probably should have taken.
There were a couple of times, like I shot you a text or whatever. I got a response I wasn't expecting. I was like, "Oh, Andrew's out of his element right now."
I was so tired. But then you got a lot of standing around too. You get to the stadium, they're down on the floor doing their thing, and then you're just up in the crowd, up in the thing, up in the general seating, just waiting for the next speaker or listening to him. It was great. But I will tell you this. We had 4 days, and everybody watched if you watch the convention, you literally had 4 days worth of speakers, right? And Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, yeah. And it's Sunday if you count it, but it really opened on Sunday. I don't think there were any speakers on Sunday. So I think by far the best moment for me personally, although the president's speech was great, J.D. Vance's speech was wonderful, hearing his story being told to the nation. I think that by far when Hulk Hogan got up there, I just lost my stuff. I just lost it. Because you know what? I mean, that, and a couple of people online were like, oh, we could do better and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you had 4 days of serious speakers. You had 4 days of everybody saying everything about anything. So you had policy, you had, everybody running for every public office under the sun that got some FaceTime. But, when you had the average guy, think of this, the average guy sitting in his house, and he's sitting there, and he can't really relate to the congressman from, Wapakoneta or pick someplace, right? He can't relate to that guy.
Right.
He knows he's a congressman, but they're all congressmen or senators or whatever. But you see an entertainer like Hulk Hogan, who you may have watched several times.
He was an icon.
He wasn't, to me, I mean, yeah, growing up, he was an icon. And then when he ripped his shirt off, I was like, yes! I was like, bring it home, brother. Now, Kid Rock, I got to be honest. I like the song. I'm just not, I don't think I have an album, but I just pictured my parents probably sitting in house, mouth agape, watching Kid Rock, going, I don't know what this is.
So I've been to multiple Kid Rock concerts.
You have,
and last was it probably a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, and he's this is part of his stage show. We know him and Donald Trump are super close. They're besties. And he always has Donald Trump on the big screen right before he comes out, getting the crowd just ready to go. And I actually think I have a video of it. I'll show you afterward.
Yeah.
But so I know they're super close. I figured he would be there. I'm with you though. Like the performance that he did, I'm like, we probably could have done without that. I would almost rather have seen Kid Rock out there talking all kinds of shit versus singing. Just speak your truth and get people to support Donald Trump in November. But I mean, I knew something like that was going to happen. I just didn't know exactly what.
My parents, I called my mom. I go, so what do you think? They go, who is this Kid Rock? And I'm like, and they don't have an accent. I'm just kidding. But they're like, who was that guy? And I'm like, he's an entertainer. Don't worry about it.
I thought Dana White did a very
great job. Great job.
And I know him and Trump are even closer.
Yeah, they are.
And
apparently,
I've seen a bunch of interviews with him, with Dana beforehand, but I felt that he did a great job.
I thought so.
He said, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you what I know.
Right.
And do with that what you will. The way he posed that phrase, I thought was good.
And, and that's why I liked Hulk Hogan as well, is because Hulk Hogan wasn't coming up there talking about somebody he didn't know. He's got like a 30-year relationship with this guy.
Right.
So, there's history there, and he was talking from an experience standpoint. It wasn't, I did like, and I guess the difference I was trying to remember the difference between this time and probably the first time that Trump got nominated. Because last time, the convention was very truncated. It was in Raleigh, but COVID pretty much put the quash on it, and only a very select few of delegates got to go to that, and it was not a convention by any way, shape, or form the way this was.
And in that period, it was like when they were doing the wrestling, the wrestling matches and shit with nobody in the stands.
Right. And so
you lose the flair.
I thought Trump's granddaughter was very well spoken. To think that a 17-year-old kid could get up in front of that many people and deliver a speech. I mean, I'd be blowing bubbles. Especially at 17, I'd be like, I don't know, I'd probably pass out.
It's my grandpa.
Yeah,
you should like him.
That's it. No, she was very well, and I had people look up her handicap, and she's like a 2. She's like a scratch golfer. She's supposedly one of the best in the family. And not that that may matter to anybody, but my point is she has skill. Very talented, very well spoken. It was less, I think maybe you picked up on this. I think it was less of the Trump show. You know, there was maybe to me, maybe I'm wrong, but I just felt it was more about other people that besides Trump. And when he spoke of the firefighter in Pennsylvania that lost his life and had his uniform on stage and his jacket on stage and went over and hugged it, that was moving. And then announced that, you know, how financially he has reached out and made sure that that family will be at least, and the other victims at least are, you know, made, you never can make them whole, but you can try to ease, you know, there's not going to be a financial burden upon them, and you relieve one source of major stress out of their lives. I mean, they're going to be going through, I was thinking about that on the way over here, actually, because I still have his photograph up on my page, the new page. And, you know, I was kind of like, you know, everyone else has kind of moved on from that. And the new reality to their life is settling in. And I was thinking today, because, you know, we're going to talk about it, the hearings up in DC with the Secret Service lady director, who's just a complete and utter incompetent buffoon. You know,
the Secret Service seat holder.
I mean, how?
Here, do you want to share your picture?
Yeah, I'm going to tell everybody. I mean, you're going to see this. So I ordered this.
We were talking about the Hulksters.
Yeah, the Hulkster. So I ordered this.
He showed it to me right before we went live.
I ordered this. This will be on the back of my car, one of those window clings here in the next couple of days. Look at that. So great. You got to zoom in. Got to zoom in on the face, because the face just does it. I was like, how could I make this dumber? There, put my face on it. So, you know, people are like, how did you do that? I'm like, yeah, well, you know how many apps I've purchased in the heat of the moment I don't use. It's actually one I do use.
It's like my drunk Amazon purchases. I've got stuff coming to the house.
You know, like I don't remember buying
that. I have no idea.
So yeah, you'll see that I ordered some stickers for cups, so that, you know, if you get actually, it might show up here in the next couple of shows. I might have to put a couple on some white cups.
I love it.
Just fun. Just fun.
He showed me that right before we went live. I was like, holy shit.
Nobody's that dumb. Guess again.
Well, I've known you for a little bit. So.
Yeah, you know I'm that dumb. So we had, like I said, so it culminated Thursday night, and right before the T-minus, you know, when Hulk was speaking right there, because he spoke shortly before the president went on. He wasn't the last speaker, because I think Dana White, who introduced him?
Kid Rock introduced Dana White.
That's right. And then Dana White, I think he introduced the president.
That's when Trump came out.
Yeah. So
that's how you know where you are in the hierarchy, though.
Yeah, you really do.
Who's better friends? Oh shit, Dana gets to introduce.
I watched Hulk, the Hulkster, and then I went out and I did. Dan Carroll had a 30-minute spot on 700, a competitor station, and right, and so I did a spot with him. Totally lost my seat. And I told Dan, I was like, Dan, you know, I'm probably going to be watching this thing from the bathroom, because, you know, there's no saving of seats like we discussed. So I went and I sat in that dead section that I was telling you about, that, you know, you could spread out. And then I looked over and I was like, man, I think that's a seat at this section, that, you know, at the top of the section was what I was in. I was like, yeah, there's a seat over there. So I, being kind of brash, I was like, I just walked past everybody and I went in there, and sure enough, there was a seat, and I asked the guy, can I sit here? Yeah, no one's sitting there. So I sat down, I turned around, I looked behind me, and I'm literally right behind me. I mean, right now, the next section up, about half a seat up from me, was Newt Gingrich and his wife. I believe it's Camilla. I think I don't know. His name's Camilla. I could be wrong. And then right next to him was Marjorie Taylor Greene. So I got some good shots there of me with them, and acted like we were in the same section, which we were not, because they had free food and free drinks.
I showed the picture. I was like, hey, look, this is Andrew sitting with his besties.
And that was kind of cool. So I actually ended up, because of Dan, I actually got a better seat, or else I would have been stuck in a mediocre seat. And I wanted to, or I wanted to get a shot of the balloon drop. So that's why I moved more towards the side, so we could see, because those balloon drops, I don't know if you watched it, but they pretty much only hit the floor, the main floor. They don't actually get out into the stands very much. And there was a lot of balloons. There's no question. So it was a good time. I hope everybody liked what they heard. I think Trump's speech was long, but it was also. I felt like
one thing that I did pull away from that, and I was at my Warthog event up in Michigan, and
Warthog.
We were standing we have an enclosed trailer with a portable bar set up and whatever. But we went inside, put my phone up, closed the door so we could somewhat hear it.
Yeah,
and I mean, I thought he did a very good job. A little long winded though. Like it probably could have been 5 to 10 minutes shorter because he just kept going, and it's like, man, you don't have to say much, especially in the climate within the last week and a half, 2 weeks. You don't have to say much.
I agree with you. I think he had a lot to say.
And hearing him speak for the first time since the assassination attempt, though, that's what I wanted. I wanted to see where he was going to go with that, and I thought with that portion of it where he replayed his account or whatever, and of course that got blasted. All over. But I'm like, I'm glad he did it.
I think that what I took away from it, and I posted about it, but since most don't see that and it's not real, I think you saw a softer, you definitely saw a more humble Trump, which most people have probably never seen.
He did look, it was different.
He was humbled. He was sincere. He was appreciative. He wasn't braggadocious. He wasn't bombastic. Pick out some other words, but I left my syllabus at home. But it just was so. It seemed to be heartfelt, at least to me, because from the angle that I was at, you could see the teleprompter. There was one giant. There weren't teleprompters on the stage, there's one giant screen down low, straight in front of the on the bottom of the section that he was looking at that you could read, and so you could see when everyone was kind of wrapping up. He went off prompter. He went off script a lot, and he tried to embellish or at least tell the stories the way he wanted to tell them. I liked it. I thought it was a bit. How should I say this? I was expecting a bigger crescendo at the end, leading to the end of the speech. Build up to the end, and it wasn't like that. But I think he is just. I think having a 2-2-3 round whiz right by your ear probably humbles you.
Yeah, that puts things in perspective.
Now I'll say this: I've seen this online as well, and I'd like to bring this up to the audience. So I saw a story today on MSNBC on the homepage that 33% of Democrats think that Trump staged that event.
I've been reading a ton of that today.
Now I want to remind the Democrat Party that seems to be hijacked by the lunatic left that runs that party, the AOCs and the local Bonnie Dunkelmans et al. And everybody else that run that party. I want you to think of the insanity of that statement, that a man, to further his political career, had a kid 20 years old, or anyone for that matter. Let's say that he didn't actually shoot the bullet to make that plausible, right? That he didn't shoot the round. Would stand there and let someone whiz a bullet literally half an inch away from penetrating your skull.
Right.
Was it not for the turn of his head at the last minute, the angle of that bullet would have entered his ear and exited the back of his skull, and he'd be dead.
It'd have been a pink mist.
Correct. But you think he faked that? 33% of. I want you to understand that.
Well, you have Keith Olbermann from ESPN who's saying, "Well, I don't think he was shot." And he throws out all these reasons why.
Yeah,
it's lunacy in my opinion. I mean, it's fucking complete and utter craziness.
And the people that wore a mask for 3 years have no or criticizing a man having a bandage on his ear after taking a round right through the middle of his ear. I want you to ponder that one for a second. Yeah, he's really crazy. He's had a bandage on his ear. He's got a whole, he doesn't have gauges in his ear. They put a gauge in his ear and it hurts like hell. I mean, thump your ear one time and tell me if it doesn't hurt. And so he had a bandage on his ear for a week. Literally, it was a week ago Saturday. And he has a bandage on his ear, and you people are complaining. It's saying, "Oh, he's milking it," and blah blah blah. whatever. I mean, 33% of Democrats think that he staged the event himself.
Isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing though that Biden got COVID right before he decided to drop out?
Oh, we're going to talk about that.
Weird.
Yeah.
We'll hit the Secret Service part real quick.
Yeah.
Just because we're on that topic, but Secret Service Director Cheadle is sitting getting drilled.
Oh,
I mean, literally drilled in every orifice that she has by fucking Jim Jordan.
Oh, and everybody else.
And everybody else.
Yeah.
And the one snippet that I saw that I found amusing was Jim Jordan saying, you answered more questions on your ABC News interview than you have in this hearing. And, because everything was, well, I don't have that information. And I understand there are ongoing investigative reports and whatnot, but some of the questions that they were asking her,
pretty simple,
is stuff that the director should know.
Well, my comment on that is this. I don't know this woman from Adam. Apparently she was an agent at one time, then went and worked for PepsiCo, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was PepsiCo. And then was under Biden was promoted to this position under his umbrella of DEI.
Because she's friends with Jill.
I understand that. Well, it's nice to know that Jill has a friend because I've seen her and she doesn't seem very friendly. But this woman, this person, take the woman part out of it. Anyone that has been responsible for this horrific and utter failure in security, and we're going to talk about the lapses and we are not experts on this. We are simply commonsensical people that have been you've been to a rally, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've been to Trump rally or any political rally for that matter. Take Trump out of it. How she didn't have the decency to say, I tender my resignation, and immediately this was an epic failure and it was under my watch and this cannot be made to stand and I resign, and have some sense of common decency and self-respect. I mean, yet she's continuing to claw onto this position for whatever reason. I have no idea, but I've known several Secret Service agents, and I did post this, and I mean this sincerely. I feel utterly and completely they have my deepest sympathy because I know the level of professionals that the Secret Service agents that I've met in my life are, and they don't mess around. I mean, they don't have much of a sense of humor, and they don't play. And they are very, very professional, and they are very, very dedicated. They dedicate their lives to protecting whomever it is they've asked to protect. They would take bullets for these people. And to think that this woman, a person, I said woman again, it's a person, let's just say that, does not have the decency to resign and at least save the tarnishment of the very organization she's running, I find just repulsive. She should resign. She should answer any questions, and maybe she'll resign after the fact, but she'd say, you know what, I'm going to go to every hearing. I'm going to answer every question. But after this, I'm resigning because I think someone better suited should take this job. And what we're finding out and what I've read is that they weren't, they put people in as like they were quote unquote Secret Service for a day. They like kind of put people that usually don't operate in this position in on the detail, and things went wrong very badly.
Which goes to Mayorkas's interview last week.
Another guy
where he said it was unequivocally false that Trump's detail wasn't added people at their request. And then we're finding out that, yeah, it was. It completely was.
Well, that's just a pattern with this administration. This administration from day one has a history of not coming clean initially and then afterwards coming out in dribbles. And that's why, not only was Joe Biden a completely and utterly pathetic candidate and pathetic president, but also his vice president is equally as pathetic, because there's no differentiation in my mind between Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. I mean, at least Joe Biden has the excuse of having some sort of dementia or brain condition that is causing his lack of brains. I don't know that Kamala can claim as such because she's much younger, and I don't think dementia usually sets in to an older age.
Well, I have a question for you. When you were a trustee,
yeah,
in charge of public safety funds, and everything goes through you guys for approval for expenditures or even grants.
You're assuming I read anything, right?
Or even grants that went out.
You know how I am.
Shut up. Your better counterpart, Josh Girth, probably should have had him on. But
call in anytime, caller.
So while you were gone, our buddy Rich Crumman sat in, and we had
I listened. It was actually I called in.
Yeah,
but it was hard because I don't know. Well, you telling I was breaking up. I was like hearing for a while there at the end. I was silent because I could barely hear you guys because of the Russian surplus Soviet era equipment that you've staffed this place with.
Well, it was free.
Did you get your internet fixed?
That's working. That's working.
Working. Stand on your head.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you unplug the?
But we had that James McGee on.
Yeah, he was great.
Who I talked to him. I went on his podcast. He absolutely loves you, and it's fucking hilarious because I'm like, well, get to know him a little bit more. You'll learn to hate him.
It'll wear off.
You'll learn to hate him.
Yeah.
But
It's a hateable love.
But yeah, where he was talking about where the local law enforcement was getting blamed for all the shit. Well, when you see movies where the feds come in and the locals get knocked out, that happens in fucking real life.
Yeah.
But my question regarding you being a trustee, the state of Ohio, and I know this is a national thing through FEMA, they have Mark's radio grants that was pushed out for us to be able to talk throughout the state.
Oh yeah.
To any agency, everybody had the same frequencies.
Yeah.
Why in the fuck was a Secret Service agent having to stand next to a local cop to hear their chatter where nobody was on the exact same channel? Now, I wasn't there. I wasn't in the meeting, the briefing, and what their capabilities were, but I find it very hard to believe we can leave billions of dollars worth of equipment in Afghanistan, but we can't fucking talk to each other. In Butler, Pennsylvania. So you've got to be fucking kidding me.
You asked about being a trustee. So obviously, our experience in this was that we had to purchase, while I was trustee, we had to purchase for the fire and EMS. We had to purchase new radios because they were unupgradable by Motorola.
Yeah.
I mean, Motorola has like the lock on these government contracts, right? And every year you have to, it's almost like you're buying a subscription. First, you have to buy the radios, and then you almost have to buy a subscription. And we had to purchase all new radios. And I was like, Chief,
at $6,000 a piece.
Yeah, they're not cheap.
At that time.
Right.
At that time.
And I was
now
like,
they're probably more.
I was like, is there no software upgrade? There's no way. No, we can't do that. So I don't know what the local in Pennsylvania, I don't know where they sit as far as up the food chain, or seems like a pretty rural community to me. And I don't understand why that was allowed to happen, why they didn't bring in, at least for this event, more equipment to outfit the locals with so that they could talk. I mean, you raise a fantastic point, as you did on the last show. Just the failures up and down the line. I mean, I won't rehash them because you already talked about it, but the epic failures and getting back to the subject at hand, she's testifying today and answering very few questions, being she's just dodging left and right. I will say this. I'm surprised she didn't just get up and walk out. But she should resign. I mean, if she had any amount of decency, she should resign. If Congress, because this was on both sides of the aisle, from my understanding of picking up bits and pieces today, Democrats and Republicans are furious that this happened, and this should never have happened. And they asked her after Reagan got assassinated, or got shot, not assassinated, but after the attempted assassination on Ronald Reagan, they said, do you know what that director did? And she said, he stayed on. They said, no, he resigned. And she was stunned that was the truth. So, it's like, if it happens on your watch, you're responsible. The buck stops here. She should resign. And hopefully they should put somebody in that takes this stuff a little more seriously. And like you said, absolutely. I don't think that Congress can make the argument that it's due to a lack of funds. We spend money on so much stuff. Are you done fidgeting, or are you listening to me?
Oh, I'm getting ready to call Dead Leg.
So
he may have an answer for
we have so much stuff that we spend money on that we left like you said, we left billions and billions of dollars over in Afghanistan without blinking an eye.
It only works when I call him. He can't call me.
It's just ridiculous. So
aloha, my friend.
Go ahead, caller.
So in years past, the radio question, generally speaking, we want to keep some separation there. So the feds want to keep their stuff on their own radio channels, and your locals stay on your own radio channels. Because if not, then you could have some random locals being listening in on the feds and hearing what they're doing.
Sure, but
Not only that,
those channels can be encrypted, though, correct?
even then, there's a higher level of encryption that the federal radios have that the local radios don't.
This is Josh Deadleg, by the way.
So in years past, what we have done is we will have a point person that's physically attached to the hip of whoever is responsible for our detail. So let's say we're going to go, I have a 10-man crew and we're blocking off 3 roads. We will have a point person that's assigned to us that that sends us our detail out from the Secret Service. And if we have any questions, we get a hold of our supervisor, who is literally attached to the hip to that person. So my radio is literally talking to my supervisor that's sitting next to the Secret Service, and then they can talk to their boss to get so there is some delay in that, but that's why it keeps it separate.
So let me ask you this. Are you familiar with the Mark system, or is that just an Ohio thing?
No, the radio that's a system that's used global, or not globally. It might be used globally, but the technology is globally used.
So to Andrew's point, where we had to upgrade, the quote unquote subscription, when we upgraded, everybody in our county had to upgrade the radios to the 800 megahertz system, and not to go super techie with it, but we had to get all these channels uploaded into our radios. So that way, they always said, like, if there was a major event, we could talk to an OSP, Ohio State Police, from Cincinnati to Cleveland.
Yep.
So why in the fuck is this system even implemented if we're not using it? Is my question to you.
It's a more local NIMS system. So all those NIMS classes after 9/11 that we had to take, and getting everything organized and having one complete command structure. Because do you guys still use any sort of 10 codes or have any codes for your agency?
Well, the police always do, and most police that I know do use those. Fire department doesn't use those.
But do you guys call what's the north side of the house called?
Well, we use A, B, C, and D. Going clockwise.
NIMS would tell you that you need to call that north side of the house, because that's
right.
A code. That's something that only you guys would know. So even 20 years later, all of that NIMS stuff that we've got coming out, it all sounds great to me.
It got shoved down our throats, and there's never
somebody got paid on the back end. But back to the radios, it's generally just so we can keep a separation.
Which I understand that there's some security issues there. But
even when we work a big event like a football game for Ohio State, when I worked up there, same thing. There's representation from these federal agencies that's at the operations center, and then all the information comes into the operations center and then gets dismantled back down to the lower troops.
All right, so now you're arguing my point for me a little bit, because there should have been a emergency operations center, a command post,
yep.
Where, you do have the Fed guy, then you have the highest local authority guy. So when they're pushing out the fact that they've seen pictures, or people are saying that there's somebody on the roof, how that wasn't relayed, because they're saying that it wasn't relayed in a expedient amount of time. Everybody should have been in that command post listening to the same shit.
Well, in my opinion, this is my opinion, and nobody else's but my own. They're trying to make excuses because they got caught.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I will pull pictures from the Secret Service standing on the roof of the White House all day, every day. They're still up there today as we speak. So the fact that they say we don't put people up there because of slope roof is complete bullshit.
Yeah, that was actually pretty funny. I mean,
I have a great fire meme.
There've been some great memes about
it.
That.
It says, "Hey Jimmy, the Secret Service says that the slope of the roof's too high," and then you've got a fireman cutting a vent hole in a sloped roof like this with fire coming out of it.
I mean, that's why this person needs to resign. I mean, just incompetence, and I really meant what I said. I mean, the utmost respect for the Secret Service and the level of professionalism that law enforcement displays at these events is just off the charts. And to have that kind of tarnished by this person's behavior is just, I find, just disconcerting. And as a decent person would do, you resign. You say, hey, listen, it happened under my watch. I'm out.
Deadleg. I knew I would have a tech person
that kind of knew
my fallback. Hey, help me, because I'm fucking dumb apparently. But
no, it's a great explanation.
No, somebody that knows a little bit more than I do, which is perfect.
Yep. Just a small bit more. I went on the cop side instead of the firefighter.
Well, I appreciate you, my man. I'll be talking to you here real soon.
See you in a minute. Love, guys.
See you, buddy.
See it.
Love you.
Josh
there you
Deadleg,
go.
everybody.
There you go. There's a great explanation. But yeah,
Pays to know people.
makes no sense. And I think we're going to have a lot more hearings and a lot more answers that need to be answered. You know, the reason I think it's very important is we need to get to the bottom of this so that there's no ability to have conspiracy theories. I think that's actually conspiracy theories tend to not serve the public good,
right?
Especially in this situation where people are wondering who did this and why. I think that's a wonderful question. I've seen so many. You don't know what to believe because you see so much on the internet, but you know this narrative that this 20-year-old kid had, like, you know, overseas bank accounts and encrypted this and
I saw
blah
that
blah blah
too.
blah, and I don't know what to believe or not believe. I will say this, that at that distance, it is not a difficult shot, and I'm amazed that by the grace of God that he missed the president, but my heart does break because the gentleman that he did kill was a fine gentleman by all accounts and a godly man and was protecting his wife and children. And that just blows me away. And how this happened needs to be revisited and made sure that that just is not possible to ever occur again. And, you know, if it means longer lines at a venue, okay, great. So we have longer lines at a venue. If it means no more outdoor venues, fine. No more outdoor venues. I don't really care, right? Because someone is dead. Yes, the president could have been killed. The former president could have been killed. But more importantly, a innocent bystander is now dead, and his family's grieving because of a complete and utter breakdown of security at an event. It's just repulsive.
No, it's sad that at this day and age,
yeah,
that here we are.
Well, look, we talked about this. You know, we have drones for everything, right? We have thermal drones, and you could have a drone up for very little cost at all. And how there weren't drones around that area just doing a perimeter sweep or just completely surveilling all of the assets in that secure area and beyond is absolutely, I don't understand how that's not possible. I've been at these events. You've been at these events. You see drones. We're used to drones. It's not a big infringement on our privacy to have a drone flying. Go to any football game. You'll see them, hear them, that the TV stations are using for some phenomenal shots.
Well, apparently, supposedly,
the shooter had a drone.
So the shooter was flying one a little bit before the rally started, but how nobody saw, because you know there were people there. So how nobody saw nor heard. I don't know how much factual this is. As I was reading this article, you know, it said that they found a drone in his vehicle to go and do something as shitty as this. It is a good recon tool.
It is.
I mean, if that's what you're setting out to do.
And I've seen reports, you know, so this is why these questions all need to be answered. I'm seeing someone just sent me something else, but you know, everything needs to be answered in a public fashion. The hearings need to be public. Whatever is classified or at least sensitive information can be hidden or at least put behind closed doors, and that part doesn't have to be public. But, you know, was he carrying a ladder? I saw the air conditioner condenser next to a door, and it said he really didn't even need a ladder. He just jumped on top of the air conditioner and jumped up on the roof. It wasn't a high roof. Wasn't too slopey.
I was just gonna say.
You saw that cartoon, a stick figure cartoon. That was actually pretty funny. But
you fly. You have a drone.
I've had a drone sitting in my living room for like 2 years, and I had the old drone. I upgraded to a new drone.
So anytime, sitting there. And I have one. And our fire department.
Do you fly it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And our fire department has a drone team.
Can I fly yours so I can practice?
No, sure not.
Please.
Yeah, you actually can because it's old, so you can.
Okay, so I can take it into like tree or wire.
Yeah, whatever.
Lake.
Because you do it on purpose.
No, I mean I just want to learn. I heard it's a pretty steep learning curve.
No, it's not. It actually it is super simple and they're very intuitive, and that's where I'm going with this is the fact that the drone that I have, which is I don't know exactly what model, but it's the same brand that this guy had.
DJI?
Yeah, it's a DJI, and mine is a Mavic. Anytime you put that in the air, the FAA knows.
How do they know?
Because it's connected to satellites. So, like, I'll be connected on a good day, 15 different satellites, and that's how it helps.
So they know that you're connected? Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Did you go to school for this?
I've actually taken my 107 airman's test.
Okay, cool. I know that you're supposed. So apparently the law is, if I understand it correctly, is you are required. I just broke my glasses. You are required to have a license to fly those. Is that not correct?
Not recreationally. If you're doing it commercially, yes.
But you need to be aware of the areas that you can and cannot.
Correct.
Like you can't go fly it by Lunkin.
Right. There are apps on. It'll tell you even when you try. Like, let's just say I put it right outside Lunkin and try to take off. I get an alert saying this is class whatever airspace. You're not allowed to be in here.
Oh wow.
So over these rallies, ball games, whatever, they put a temporary flight restriction on.
Sure.
So most drones will not take off if you're within that.
Maybe he had like the older janky model.
And obviously he didn't give a shit whether there was a flight restriction or not.
No, but like you said, they won't take off.
In this article, it said that their flight restriction was an hour and 55 minutes for that day. So they'll put that up, and it actually throws like a geofence out.
So it won't locate.
It won't allow you to do it.
Right. Well, I mean,
if he starts out of it and goes into it, and depending on which type of drone.
Lots of questions.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much.
And the sad thing is, it doesn't look like they're getting a lot of answers, more specifically from the director of the Secret Service. So leads to even more, sadly, more conspiracy theory speculations, which doesn't do anyone any good. And so I'm reserving. I have my personal thoughts, as you do, about that whole event. But you know what? Until I have all the information presented to me in some semblance of a fashion that makes it digestible, I'm not going to sit here and speculate, because it serves no purpose other than to spread rumor and innuendo. And I don't think that's appropriate right now.
But when the news outlets are putting this out, it did not shock me one bit reading that article that he had a drone, a 20-year-old kid, this day and age.
Did we find out? I think I asked this last time. Did he have optics on the gun?
That I do not know.
See, I haven't heard that. I've seen this the computer schematic or recreation, and it shows a computerized version of it, but it showed open sights, which, to be fair, is not, at 130 yards is not 110 yards was not. It's not a long shot, even with open sights, but I would just be interested to know if he had optics or not. I just from a curiosity standpoint, but all this hopefully will come out. And I think that more importantly, it shows why, in my mind, I don't know about your mind, but it shows in my mind that the danger of putting someone in a position of responsibility based on solely on a criteria of either sex, creed, sexual orientation, or skin color. We should be having in these positions of public safety, especially for the presidents and former presidents, we should have the best of the best. And I don't care if that person is gay, straight, whatever their ethnic makeup might be. I really don't care. I would like to have the best of the best, because we all bleed the same color, red.
Yeah.
And I think that is the most important thing. But it seems like from day one, this administration, need we go down the appointments of remember the guy in the nuclear waste director, I believe was his name, that was stealing handbags or luggage out of airports, Sam or something like that. Remember him? We've had a couple others.
The bald high-heeled wearing.
So we've had a couple of where Joe Biden just wants to simply, and for that matter, take the vice presidential candidate that he picked. It checked a box. He said, "I want a black female." He wanted to check a box. He didn't say, "I wanted to have someone qualified." In America, yes, I understand that we have things to overcome. I get all that, but you know what? We also reward competence, and the best should rise to the top. Whether you're black, brown, whatever your sexual orientation is, I truly don't care. I just want the best of the best, especially in a position of public safety.
Yeah. I'm going to do an ad read real quick.
Yeah.
Since we've been terrible about that. But we're going to talk about our buddy Dan Varner, who's been a charter sponsor in multiple facets for this podcast.
Great guy.
The Varner Foundation for Children and Families. We want to take a moment to talk about foster care. We believe those who open their hearts and their homes to take care of kids are among most of the special of our friends and neighbors. It could be a strain on anyone's budget, and sadly, more than half give up in their first year of fostering because the resources just aren't there. That's where the Varner Foundation comes in. A 501c3 nonprofit, the Varner Foundation enables foster care agencies to help in a hurry. A car repair, a prescription, and an extra bed, even a pair of shoes, and many times a single phone call gets it done. And I've actually talked to him about this and watched it work. So it's amazing.
It is amazing.
But 100%, hold on, I got to take a drink, of the money donated to the Varner Foundation goes to the mission, period. You heard that right. He did this on purpose, 100%.
Dan, you're an amazing guy. Just keep doing what you do, buddy.
I know he wrote that on purpose. But you can help make a difference in a child's life today. Donate to the Varner Foundation. That's the varnerfoundation.org. varnerfoundation.org. You see it on the screen. And it's, like I said, I've seen it happen firsthand, and it's absolutely amazing. And I've got friends that are foster families, and they do amazing things. So
amazing people.
I love the fact that Dan got that going, and he's helped this podcast a ton. So we have to shout him out,
obviously, and enthusiastically.
Yes, absolutely.
So, I mean, we didn't touch on a whole lot today. We have so much information to share, and I'm sorry I took up so much of the beginning of the program, but I thought people might be interested in.
No, I wanted to hear. Yeah, I wanted to hear that
because I've had a lot of questions as to how to become a delegate, and we'll delve into that too. But so now we sit where we're at. Joe Biden is not the presidential candidate. He's not running for re-election. You've been hearing speculation on that all day, or recapping what happened yesterday and how and why. It looks to be that Kamala Harris is going to be the presidential candidate on the Democrat side. I would love to see if someone could get me credentials for one night of the Democrat and convention in Chicago, because I would really love to go. I probably, I won't shower for like a week.
I can only imagine how that would go.
And I'll wear dirty clothes and I'll fit right in. But I can't imagine. I just want to juxtapose the average attendee at a Democrat convention versus the average attendee at a Republican convention. I think I could be, and look, I would be, I really do. You're probably going to laugh at this, but I think I would be the most objective person you could send there, because I would tell you, I mean, you know me. I mean, I don't care about, no, seriously, I don't care about, I'll lay it out there, be like, I want to be pleasantly surprised that I'm like, hey, you know what? They look or act just like us. I don't think they're going to act and look just like us.
I'm going to watch it. And I never would have thought, I wouldn't have watched this RNC one just because that's just not my jam.
No, I
was interested, obviously, with the events that happened.
Right.
And what was going to happen.
Right.
But
we're watching this one.
Yeah, I'm going to watch.
We're going to have popcorn out. We're going to be sitting there.
Now I want to compare. I want to compare the two.
I want to go. I really do. I'm going to try to somehow finagle at least. I mean, Chicago's not a far drive, although I have to say, driving through Chicago, getting to Wisconsin was like, it had us routed.
Do you own a bulletproof vest?
It was besides that. Do you have, I mean, it was, they routed us. If I had to pull it up, but I was going through cornfields, like with farm tractors on either side of me. I even got behind a combine one time. And I was like, what the hell am I doing here? I thought I was lost. I was like, why are they? They're like, oh, it's routing you around Chicago because the traffic's so bad. So, yeah, I would love to go to their convention just to experience it. I probably would need some sort of rabies shot when I got back, or wear a flea collar, but I would really, I'm making friends here, but I really would like to see what it's like at their convention versus the Republican convention. But hopefully a lot of that will come through on the TV. But if we could pull up, I want to get everybody kind of ready, because we're running short on time here. I want to pull up what you're going to witness for the next 110 days, something like that. And
what am I pulling up?
You pull up Kamala's last speech.
Oh, yeah.
Kamala thing. And we're just going to, I want you to just get ready for a whole lot more of this, because I heard I heard the guy Ford, what's his name? I can't remember Ford's first name. He's on Fox News. He's on the 5, and he's the liberal.
Oh,
and he said, well,
yeah.
It's going to give the public a time to get to know Kamala Harris because I don't think they really know her. And I was like, oh, I think we do. So if we could just pull up a little bit of the vegetable salad that comes out of her mouth.
And be unburdened by what has been, what can 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 be unburdened by what has been, what we can see, what we believe can be unburdened by what has been, what can be unburdened by what has been, what can be unburdened by what has been, what can be unburdened by what has been, who we can be unburdened by who we have been, what can be unburdened by what has been, where we can be unburdened by where we have been and unburdened by where we are right now, what can be unburdened by what has been, what can be unburdened by what has been, what can be unburdened by what has been.
I can't endure anymore.
I know. And that's just one little snippet. You're going to have epic commercials running about Kamala, and then you'll get to see her on a debate. And I know that
I cannot wait.
Personally, I was looking forward to JD Vance debating her. I think I'm looking more forward to Trump debating her because he can be even more real sometimes than JD Vance. And JD Vance, I think, I hope a lot of people, being from Ohio, we're kind of spoiled because we have interaction with him. He came not a long time ago to our Republican club and spoke when he was running for Senate. And he connects, he's very down to earth, very connects with the average voter, the average American, comes from, a very normal, if not troubled background.
Real.
He had
It's more real.
Yeah. So it's going to be just a show to see who they pick. My prediction, I think Kamala will probably try to find a moderate VP candidate, but I don't know how that's going to fly with the crazy wing of her party. So, and plus, who's going to want to hitch their wagon to that ticket?
Yeah.
Because these guys are not looking. If you are Gretchen Whitmer or Andy Bashir, you're saying, okay, do I want to be associated with this level of craziness and then have my name associated with Kamala Harris if I think she's going to lose?
Then they're throwing in Shapiro from Pennsylvania, and
yeah, so there's a lot of people that are in the mix, and I don't think you're going to see a rush. Perhaps I'm wrong, but I don't think you're going to see a rush of people saying I want to be the VP. I think you saw a rush of people saying I'm interested in being president,
right?
Like you saw Manchin from West Virginia thinking he was going to switch back to being a Democrat. But I think that what you're going to see is the radical AOC wing of that party is going to say, you need to not only have her on the top of the ticket because they actually wanted Joe Biden to stay on the ticket. Mm-hmm. So I think they're going to try to find someone equally as leftist as she is. And JD Vance is no pushover. He's a very articulate, knowledgeable, smart person that is well-spoken and knows his stuff. And so I think the debates are going to be really, really entertaining. And I think everyone's going to be very, very engaged in this election process, whereas before they might have tuned out a little bit.
Yeah, we're watching history happen.
We are, and you are living through.
We're living it.
We are living through. I think your kids are, in 20 or 30 years, they'll be like, man, do you remember where you were when, they tried to assassinate Donald Trump in that election afterwards? And you'd be like, yeah, I know exactly where I was.
Yeah, exactly. Hey guys, thank you for tuning in and listening. Make sure you download, rate, review, subscribe, and stay tuned. I'll get a good schedule out. Andrew and I got to sit down and figure out what days are good for both of us. But we appreciate you guys here tonight. It was nice to be back, both of us getting back into town and reconvening.
Yeah,
but
appreciate you dealing with a recap of the mundane. But hopefully you enjoyed it.
Absolutely. So we will see you guys here very, very soon. So pay attention to Facebook and Instagram, and we will see you then.
Out.